What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. Tonight, we're going to do a preview for the Wizards' fourth and final preseason game in Toronto versus the Toronto Raptors. We're going to talk a little bit about Deni Avdija and some situations that are deemed bad body language, but we're going to kind of chop it up about that. And finally, the Bleacher Report put out a article about how they don't believe that the Wizards can build around Jordan Poole. I'm going to tell you why I disagree with them and more next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. Appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available whenever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. So we're going to do a preview real quick for tomorrow night's final preseason game versus the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, we are gearing up for the regular season. I'm excited. You're excited. Let's all be excited because the regular season is finally here next week. So as you know, tomorrow night at 7:30, the Washington Wizards will be conducting their fourth and final preseason game versus the Toronto Raptors in Toronto. And looking at the game real quick, I was looking at the betting odds, and they don't have it. But getting into it real quick, I'm going to explore three things real quick that I want to see tomorrow night in the final preseason game versus the Toronto Raptors. So, number one, let's start with Poole Party, right? Jordan Poole, as you know, dropping 41 points in Madison Square Garden versus a projected really good New York Knicks team who were at full capacity till probably the fourth quarter. So that is obviously, we talked about the last video. Big news for Jordan Poole. We all are very excited to see what he can do this year in the Wizards uniform. But one thing I want to see from him is a little more distribution / really working on turnovers. Obviously, look, a lot of people do view him as maybe the long-term option at point guard. And there's a few people that kind of through the comments and let me know that they don't see him in that capacity due to turnovers. A lot of your scoring, in the history of the NBA, most of the time a scorer is going to have a lot of turnovers. He's definitely a scorer, dropping 41 points. But if indeed he is that point guard of the future, he's got to work on turnovers. If you look at our current starting point guard, Tyus Jones, and our previous point guard, Monte Morris, who are actually 1 and 2 within turnover ratio, right? They don't turn the ball over a lot. So obviously Monte Morris, we know what he could and couldn't do. Tyus Jones, they're kind of similar in that regard at the starting point guard position. But at point guard, the biggest sin is what? Turning the ball over. Ball security is very important at the point guard position. I mean, period, in basketball, period. But when you're the guy who orchestrates offense, you're the quarterback, you got to keep the turnovers to a minimum. So tomorrow night, what I want to see from Jordan Poole is, we know you can score, and I mentioned that I want to see him shoot more high percentage shots. But, distribution, the defense is going to center in him a lot this year. Him and Kyle Kuzma, defenses are going to be centered around them. So, I said it before, who are the third and fourth scorers on this team outside of Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole? And I believe this is where you want to see Bilal Coulibaly and Deni Avdija step up. So I want to see him distribute a lot more and utilize Deni, Bilal, and maybe even Corey Kispert as far as scorers, and really get these guys involved. Because we're going to talk about Deni and his body language, not getting the ball and certain other situations. But you definitely want to see Deni get more involved with offense. You want to see Bilal get more touches. And we know, look, Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, they're going to get a lot of shots, man. They're going to shoot a lot of obviously, defense is going to center around those two more than anybody else, and they're our top two scorers. So they're going, the ball is going to be in their hands more than anybody else. But I think the key to this team is seeing who are your your third and fourth scorers. Because we know Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole. Who are these other couple guys who can come in and pick up the slack if and when Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole have off nights, double teams. And I'm looking at Bilal Coulibaly again, and I'm looking at Deni Avdija. So number 2, man, Ty Jones, I want to see consistency. I mentioned the last game. What I want to see from him is being more of a distributor, and with that floater, collapse defenses, man, and really utilize shooters outside. And he did that. His assist numbers went up. I want to see more of that. I want to see him solidify himself at point guard with this 4th and final preseason game, because I do believe that right now he is the starting point guard. Now, when we get closer to the deadline, depending on how he plays this year, is he considered the long-term answer? Is he an asset at the trade deadline? Those are questions that are obviously going to be answered once we get into the regular season. But I want to see another showing. I want to see consistency. Pull out another showing against a Toronto Raptors team, which, they're kind of in the neighborhood of where we are, in a little gray area where they're too good to be trash. But are they really challenging in the East? Nah, I think we all know who the top 4 teams are. Everybody else is kind of figuring out where they are outside of the top 4 in the Eastern Conference. So very similar team. I mean, obviously defensive, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. I mean, they have a squad. So this is a good dry run before we get into the regular season. Number 3, I want to see the intensity on the defensive end maintained. I said in the last video that, Wes Unseld Jr.'s defensive system may be starting to come to fruition. Now we're starting to get more personnel who are defensive minded. Bilal Coulibaly obviously is more defensive minded, where his offensive game is coming along. Deni, I want to see more effort, intensity on defensive end, getting into passing lanes, getting in people's face, being a pest, working on rotations, working on defensive communication. I want to see them really, really put that effort in the defensive end again, because I think that, with the showing from the last game, and if we can have a good defensive showing with this game, now saying that, obviously we know about the center position, the paint defense has been an issue. So I want to kind of see Daniel Gafford, and to a lesser degree, Mike Muscala. I want to see both of them put the effort on the defensive end, because, Daniel Gafford can be a paint defender. Does he struggle against bigger bigs? Absolutely. But he can defend the paint. Mike Muscala, more of a stretch, but I want to see the effort. I'm not saying that I'm expecting Mike Muscala to start swatting shots, but I want to see the effort. Effort can go a long way. And, they're showing that intensity on the defensive side as far as overall as a team. So those are 3 things I kind of want to see tomorrow night from the Washington Wizards in the 4th and final preseason game. To kind of reiterate is, 1, keep an intensity in defense, right? 2, Jordan Poole, rely on other guys, really trying to see who this third and fourth scorer is going to emerge, if it's going to be Bilal, Deni, or Corey Kispert, right? So those are kind of what I want to see tomorrow night against the Toronto Raptors in our final preseason game. So next, we're going to talk about Deni Avdija. And there's been a topic as far as bad body languages, and we're going to talk about what to expect from him as far as body language going forward. And then we're going to talk about an article through Bleacher Report that says that they believe that the Washington Wizards cannot build around Jordan Poole. And I humbly disagree, and we're going to talk about more next. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's right, $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose, you get it whether you win or lose. I'm just trying to tell you. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options that include parlays, spreads, player props, overs and unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the National Football League. The Locked On Ultimate NBA season preview is here, people. A 6-episode series with all 30 of our Locked On NBA team shows, from contenders to tankers. We go in depth into the biggest storylines heading into the NBA season. Catch all 6 episodes on Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And Locked On Wizards, me and the real Ed Oliver will be in the series. So definitely show your support for the Wiz, Locked On Wizards, and both of us. Because again, we appreciate you guys. This podcast goes as far as you guys, man. You guys are the big reason why we are really getting a lot of success, man. So definitely appreciate you guys, man. So let's get into it. Last game, obviously it was on broadcast to show that Deni Avdija was a little upset as far as not getting the ball from Jordan Poole. You know, Jordan Poole was lighting up 41 points. And then there was kind of a weird exchange on the bench where there was words between them, and then people were laughing. So I don't know how much to really put into the situation. But bad body language has been something that Deni Avdija has been dealing with this entire time here in DC. I personally am a big fan of Deni Avdija. I think he's a good young talent. You know, we know what he can do. He is, in my opinion, an elite talent on the defensive end. You know, he has shut down, you know, putting the X on Giannis. I mean, he's shown that he can defend at a high level. Obviously, look, on the offensive side, we know he needs work. You know, a left hand, or let me say a more consistent left hand, finishing through traffic, finishing through contact, and obviously the 3-point shot are things he needs to work on, especially with this being a contract year. You know, he really has to show this organization what he can do and determine whether he's a long-term solution here in DC or in another franchise. But, you know, the body language, if you look at the issues, I mean, the year the Spencer did with a year, it was a 2021-2022 season, right? When there was a lot of fights, you know, KCP, Montrezl Harrell, the issue between Deni and Bertans. And we know that, look, it's not just on Deni. Obviously, we know there are a lot of issues that arisen during that locker room. You had young guys who were trying to get minutes. You had vets who were trying to get paid. You had guys who already got paid in Bertans who felt they deserved a certain amount of minutes. And so it was a huge mess as far as roster construction, in my opinion. And you just it created a lot of issues. But bad body language has been something that Deni has been dealing with the entire time here in DC. Confidence is the name of the game for young players. When his confidence is high, he's throwing the X up. He's talking junk. I love it. You know, he really shows what he can do as a player. When his confidence is down, though, is a whole different player. You know, his head's down. He tends to struggle. So here's my advice, man. Deni, if you're watching, listening, you know I'm a big fan of you, man. Look, man, young guy, confidence is key, but you've got to shore up the body language, man, because number one, you play in an industry where all eyes are on you. You know, everything you do, every mannerism you have is under the microscope, especially in a day and age where it's not like when it was. I'm 37, about to be 38. When I was growing up, I grew up in an era where it was very little technology going to the beginning of a technological society, right? I mean, growing up, our TV had a little click on the front. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have a cell phone till high school, man. And I graduated in 04. So my thing is this: it's not like it used to be, man. You know, with technology, all eyes, millions of eyes on you. You know, you've got to show up your body language, man. There's ways that you can talk without having to show these certain mannerisms, because people are going to judge you. Look, people are already on Deni, you know, asking him for him to be traded. He's saying he's going to be an issue with chemistry. You know, work on the body language. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to sit here and say you should be traded. I'm not saying, you know, all I'm saying is this, as far as my personal opinion, is that show up your body language, man. You know, you got to be careful with your body language because, you know, look, people are going to take whatever you give out and they're going to use that as a way to, oh, now they got chemistry issues. Now there's locker room issues. Look, we have a good culture here. You know, this team, for the most part, like each other. You know, there's a serious aura of friendship in this team. They're having fun. You know, there's a good aura. There's good vibes. You know, don't let people use your bad body language as a way to paint this locker room as having locker room issues. And that's what I'm trying to say. You know, we got a good thing going on here. We got good culture going on. Let's keep it moving, man. You know, obviously, look, this is your first year playing with, I mean, and I don't know if I'm just talking to him, but this is his first year playing with Jordan Poole, you know, and Jordan Poole is a guy who shoots a lot of shots. The ball is in his hands a lot. And obviously Jordan Poole is going to have to evolve his game a little bit. And that's why I kind of said, and what I'm expecting to see tomorrow night is that, you know, Jordan Poole, we know you're that scorer. The NBA knows you're that scorer. They're going to start, the defense will start center on you and Kuz. Utilize the guys around you, man. Really give those chance, really see who can be that third or fourth option. Whether it's be Bilal, whether it's Deni, whether it's Corey Kispert. We know it ain't going to be Gaff. The center position doesn't have a guy who's going to score 10, 15 points. We know that. Now, Muscala can stretch the floor. He can. But look, we're not expecting Muscala to be our third or fourth option here. I'm pretty much speaking for a lot of people that we expect to see Deni and Bilal emerging, if not ties to a certain degree, but I want him to be more of a distributor. But third or fourth options as far as scoring on this team, I want to see Bilal and Deni be those options. So I believe that Deni should definitely just work on his body language, man, because whether there's issues or not, people already got their assumptions, man. And this is, like I was kind of just saying before, man, in an age where everything you do and say and even think is under the microscope, man, people are going to use that to try to get at the culture of this team. Keep it moving, y'all. Look, we have a beautiful thing going as far as culture. Culture is one of the foundations of building a successful franchise, and we're definitely working on the culture as far as the Washington Wizards. So, young man, just work on your body language, man. You've got to. Look, I get it. Your emotions are out there, man. People are gonna get mad. Look. All I'm saying is, just work on it, man. Just work on your body language. So going forward, I'm gonna chop it up real quick. There was a Bleacher Report article that pretty much said they don't believe that the Washington Wizards can build around Jordan Poole, and I'm gonna tell you why I disagree. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Now, there's a lot of problems in the world right now. Obviously, unrest in the Middle East, war in the Ukraine, fires in Hawaii, hurricanes and tornadoes in Florida, earthquakes, and all kinds of issues, man. That's why I believe that, me being military and coming from a military family, we've always been taught when I was a child that, to have the certain tools in place just in case disasters happen. Well, there's a solution to that, y'all. The Jase case. The Jase case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs, which is huge, man. Jase Medical now offers customability for your Jase case with dozens of add-on medications. You can choose the medications that best fit you and your family's unique needs. So that is very important. Jase is continuing to work to expand their medication offerings. So they're adding more and more stuff. So definitely, I definitely recommend the Jase case. So go to jasemedical.com and enter promo code Locked On at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code Locked On at jasemedical.com. And thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Every day airs. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to do a live reaction recap to the 4th and final preseason game in Toronto. Let's get it. So hopefully the real Ed Oliver will be back, man. Definitely, again, if you are a praying person, definitely keep adding your prayers, man. He's under the weather. The seasons change, catching a lot of people, man. So definitely keep him in your prayers that we can see brother, man, tomorrow night to chop it up with us. So again, let's get into it. This is from Bleacher Report. And an NBA scout said, quote unquote, there's no way that the Wizards' Jordan Poole is the type of player who can carry your team. And quote unquote, he's a scorer, the scout said, per Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated. But I don't know if he can do anything else. Can he be the main guy? I don't think so. Will he put up numbers like the main guy on a bad team? Of course. But can he carry your team? No way. And then defensively, he's a liability. He has picked up a rep for having an arrogance about him. It would be real interesting to see if he buys in and how it goes in Washington. I don't see anything special happening there. Now, let me start by saying this, man. Obviously, a little bit of hate on the Wizards. Nothing special. Obviously, look, we're not challenging for a playoff spot this year. Obviously, we're not challenging for a championship this year. Quite frankly, we're probably not challenging for a play-in this year. It's all about seeing what these expiring deals can do before the deadline, moving on from them, getting assets, seeing what the young talent can do, see who's part of the future, and going on from there. So, this notion is nothing going on special. I disagree. I think with a whole new competent front office, there's definitely something special going on. But as far as immediate results, yeah, I mean, we're not doing anything this year, but the hate continues to happen. as far as the media when it comes to the Washington Wizards. But do I disagree with everything he said? No. I mean, obviously, defensively, we know he can be a liability. Now, the arrogance, I don't see the arrogance, man. I see a humble young guy who came into this situation of a rebuilding team, coming off a team that has championship aspirations. He came in here showing leadership. He was the first person to contact Bilal Coulibaly. He's come in, he said the right things. Even with the Draymond Green situation, he didn't clap back. He didn't say anything back. He acted like a grown man. So, as far as a maturity and leadership standpoint, I totally disagree. I don't see the arrogance. I see somebody who likes to have fun. But people, this adds to the chemistry in the locker room. They're having fun. They're getting along. It goes back to the Deni thing about bad body language. Don't give the media any ammo to create issues here in his locker room, because they do that. I want to see, obviously culture is a big thing here. So, but going back to Jordan Poole, defensively, yes, he can be a liability. He's definitely a scorer. And he does bring up an important question. What can he do? And it kind of goes along with what I would expect to see as far as tomorrow night and going forward, is that can he utilize the talent around him? Because look, a lot of people think that he could be the starting point guard long term. But for that to happen, what needs to happen? Well, one, he's got to work on turnovers. He's definitely got to work on ball security. Two, utilizing the talent around you. You don't have to be that guy, man. Utilize, get Bilal more. Look, how is Bilal and Deni Avdija going to get better at offense? Opportunities, shot attempts, get them those looks. Now, obviously, Deni's had a lot more than Bilal, but we definitely want to see if Deni can take that step forward on the offensive end this year. But look, man, I mean, you can easily see Bilal and Deni emerge as those third or fourth options. So I agree with him. For him to be the guy to build around, then he's got to be able to become a distributor. He's got to work on the turnovers, and he's got to have other ways to, other things. He's got to contribute in other ways, not just scoring. Because if a shot's not dropping, what else can you do? Because if you're not scoring, the defenses aren't centering you like they were, and this is why a lot of the way goes on guys like Bilal, Deni, Tyus, the list goes on, Corey Kispert. So I agree with the article. Is he the guy right now the guy that we're building around? I don't see that right now. I see a guy who is definitely part of the foundation of the future of this franchise. So I personally don't think right now he's the guy that he's officially like John Wall was the guy that we built this franchise around. We drafted him number 1 overall, and then we started putting pieces around him, whether it was Bradley Beal 3rd overall, was Otto Porter, Markieff Morris, Marcin Gortat, Kelly Oubre. We started putting pieces around John Wall because he was that guy that we were building around. Is Jordan Poole that guy right now? Not to say that he won't be, because I think he's about to set the league on fire. But for right now, he's not the center point as far as building around him. I think he's part of the foundation, because every house needs a foundation, right? Every house that wants to stand has to have a foundation. He's definitely part of that foundation long term. He definitely needs to be here in DC long term. I definitely think that when we build this into a championship contending franchise, he's part of that foundation. So, definitely comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong? Do you believe that we should build around him? Do you think he's part of the foundation, or do you think he might be just a trade asset? Guys, definitely let me know what you guys think. And right before we go, one more piece of information. 3 hours ago, through Candy Waller, from Inside the Wizards, they reported that the Washington Wizards did sign guard Devon Dotson, and we waived guard Jules Bernard. My quick thoughts on that. Big fan of both of them. I thought Jules Bernard had potential. He looked good the last game. But Devon Dotson is a very intriguing signing too. So, it's kind of a lukewarm reaction. I like both players. So that is your up-to-date moves from the Washington Wizards. So we'll go ahead and roll tonight. Appreciate everybody. Again, appreciate you guys, man. We are gearing up for the 4th and final preseason game versus the Toronto Raptors. Again, 7:30 tomorrow night. And after that, we are looking forward to the season opener versus the Indiana Pacers next week. So the regular season is here, and we're going to see what these Wiz kids can do this year. So, again, appreciate you guys. Everybody have a good night. Everywhere you get your podcast, or anywhere you get your podcast, a 5-star review, if I earned it, or we earned it rather. Definitely, we would definitely appreciate that. On the YouTube side, like, subscribe. If you're not a member, consider becoming a member of Locked On Wizards and showing your support for this regular season. Comment below, let us know what you guys think, man. Do you think Jordan Poole is the centerpiece to build around? Do you think it's part of the foundation? Or do you think that he may be a trade asset going forward, like Kyle Kuzma? As far as Deni, let me know. Do you guys see a problem with Deni's body language? And as far as what the 3 things I expect tomorrow night in Toronto, do you agree? Do you disagree? Definitely chop it up with your boy and let me know. So hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys later. Take care.